What is up, Radiant Icons, and welcome back to Dare to Be Iconic, the podcast made for icons daring to be themselves. I'm your host, Amanda Policelli, and for today's Tea Time Sesh, we are joined by one of my really good friends, mental health and self-growth influencer, Alison Renee, also known on socials as Evolving Alison, and we are spilling the tea about mental health, healing, comparison, all that good stuff. But before we get into that, I dare you to follow me on Instagram and connect with me on LinkedIn, and that information can be found in the show notes below. All right, Radiant Icons, your tea time sesh is starting now. Let's welcome our third everyday icon who is daring to be herself in her everyday life by using her platform on social media as Evolving Alison to start discussions about mental health and self growth. So, a little background for Radiant Icons if you don't know, Allison and I did a collab on Instagram and we met on this site called Busy Blooming for entrepreneurs. We've never met each other before and we just message each other on social media. So we're like, let's do it. I'm so excited that you're here. And I have two questions before we spill the tea about healing.
Yeah,
Right.
let's do this.
What does iconic mean to you? And how do you dare to be iconic in your everyday life?
Being iconic, like I love your saying there because it's not like there are certain like rules and it's kind of like a personal authentic journey and like
Yes.
you can interpret being iconic however you want. And personally for me, it's just the focus of not caring about people's opinions and being authentic because like for so long I've tried to mold into the people I was around to make sure that like I'm accepted and liked. But being iconic is like breaking past that. It's like no more.
Yes. It's
Like
like
no
being
more.
proud of yourself.
Yes. And like being who you are. And
Yes.
like being yourself is so powerful because then it filters out all the people that aren't meant to be there anyway.
Yes,
So
exactly, Allison. Yes.
yeah, like quality over quantity.
If I could put that on a t-shirt, I would. Like that
Quality
is a
over quantity?
lesson. Yes, that is a lesson that I've had to learn the hard way because I'm 25. I think throughout my life, I relate so much on the I wanted to fit in and mold into what everyone else wanted me to be. And it took me until last year, 24, to realize no, I need to be who I am, but I didn't know who I was. So I had to go on that journey. And
Exactly.
that really weeded through the people who were meant to be in my life.
I can definitely relate because like feeling like the more people you like, I used to think like the more people I have, the more like worthy I am, and like the more
Yes.
liked I am. But then we perceive filtering out the wrong people and only having
Mhm.
a close circle a bad thing. We used to think, but it's really draining. Like if you're just attending to everyone's opinions and like
Yes.
like being the caregiver person, like that's personally for me, like I just felt like I was abandoning myself the
Mm.
whole time.
So, how do you take that into daring to be iconic in your everyday life with your platform, Evolving Allison?
That's a very good question because you happen to be in front of an audience on social media and have a
Yeah,
platform.
exactly.
So many opinions. Like it is crazy. So daring to be iconic in that way is not caring about those comments, not caring about even the people around you, like your friends and family. Oh, she's recording on camera. Like, who does she think she is?
Mhm.
It's daring to be iconic. And I have a message to say to my followers, like through my platforms. And it's focusing on that and not the outside voices. Just, I'm here for a purpose. I'm showing up for a purpose.
Yes. Because you know in your heart it was there for a reason. So, why not take that risk on yourself and keep building that community and using your voice?
Exactly.
How do you remain emotionally vulnerable online by also taking care of yourself?
When people have a platform and they have people that look up to them, you kind of put on your best behavior by
Mhm.
default. You want to show that everything's okay because you're there to take care of others and the other people on the other side of the screen. But sometimes people forget we're people as well with
Yes.
emotions and we behind the scenes. Like we could whip out the camera and like be the happiest person, but be dealing with something behind the scenes.
Mhm.
And it's just really about finding that balance. It's not like we want to hide it, but I think it's more important to actually show that
Mhm.
like that is are, that's why I'm
Yes.
not afraid to cry on social media. That's why I'm not
Yeah.
afraid to like express anger. I don't have to be some like positive person all the time. And that in itself is self-care. It is
Yes.
admitting that I am allowed to feel sad in front of an audience. And that is like helping connect people at the same time. So I think that's just really self-care in itself.
So do you think it also goes into boundaries? Like, I suck at boundaries. That is a continuous learning process for me, especially with Dare to Be Iconic. Like, I spill all the tea about my life, but I'm kind of deciding what are some things that I can share now and what are some things that like, let's save that for a little bit when you are a little bit further removed from the situation that you feel comfortable. Like for me, it's finding those boundaries. So do you think within that self care and self love that you mentioned, boundaries are a big part of it? And do you struggle with, like, figuring that out as well?
I definitely struggle with boundaries too, and I know it is difficult like on our journey because there's also that like people pleasing part and we don't want to like upset anyone, and like it's also like the nature of like not knowing how to set those boundaries or what boundaries to set. So
Yes.
like working with a therapist is like such a good idea to like help you. But I personally struggle with that too, and like communicating my needs because like you and I know like we've came such a long way, but it doesn't mean that we're perfect. Like our old self is gonna come back still, and like that younger, like heartbroken self is still gonna come and like wanting to be loved. So like we're
Mhm.
gonna like, minimize ourselves sometimes. And like it's all about that jump of realizing that we are still worth it, even if we set those boundaries with
Yes.
people.
Oh, you hit that on the nose. So good. Oh my goodness. Like, I don't know if you know this, Allison. Like, I call my birthday National Amanda Day. Like, I make it a
Good, as you
big
should.
thank you, thank you, thank you. I don't know if my parents agree. I think they're kind of over it by now. But like it's okay. But anywho, I make my birthday a big deal. But one thing I've realized within the last 2 birthdays, I would say, is that a part of me will always be the girl, like the Amanda at 16. The part of me will always be the Amanda that got broken up with a letter in a box. Like there will always be a part of me, no matter how much I continue growing and evolving. And I love how you put that in perspective for us. So, what have you realized on your healing journey that you're like, huh, if I can tell my younger self this, what would it be?
I would definitely tell myself that in this situation that you're in right now, it's not going to last. And when I'm looking back at this specific person that I was
Mhm.
diagnosed with depression and two other disorders. And it made me feel like I couldn't get out of it. And I felt like this is life. This is like how it's going to be forever.
Mhm.
So if I were to look back at myself, I would really want to tell myself, it gets better. Just keep holding on. Just keep going. Because within a little bit of time, things are going to get better, way better than you've imagined.
I feel that 100,000%. I was talking to one of my friends about this the other day, and we were just like reflecting on life and how different it is now than it was like a couple months ago. And we're like, wow, like we would have never imagined our lives to take the turn as it is. Like, if you would have told me on October 10th, 2022, that I would be starting a whole movement to empower others because it
Exactly.
because of a letter in a box, I would have never believed you. You
Right.
know? Yeah. What was that turning point for you?
It was, in fact, a breakup as well when I was 13 years old. This whole evolving stuff happened
Mhm.
when I was 13 years old.
Okay.
And I had not the best breakup, your first love when you're young. And that's when I fell into a depression. And, but then eventually, like a year or two later,
Mhm.
I started to heal. I was first off sick of the reality I was creating for myself. Like that heartbreak was causing me to fall into a depression, and then my habits were deteriorating, and I was just like it was an endless cycle, and it was all a matter of I'm sick of this reality. So then I just remember like waking up one day and saying, I need to pull myself out of this no matter how hard it is. So then I went on this whole like journey and everything about mental health and psychology. And I, I was like saying to my mom, and I was like, Mom, like, I don't know what I want to do in college. Like, this was another day. And she's like,
Mhm.
you seem like you're really in psychology and stuff. I'm like, hmm. So then I searched up college degrees, and then I made that my whole life. And I'm like, you know what? Everything mental health, like I've had various, not just the heartbreak, but various
Mhm.
mental health experiences.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is my life, and I just pushed through, and now I want to give other people hope. That's how it basically happened. It was just a journey, and I'm
I
still
love
on that
that.
journey.
I can relate, and I think that's one of the points that I believe really attracted me to your platform is that I could kind of see a little bit of my healing journey with yours. For me personally, I had that same moment of being like, I need and want to change my life because I was letting my ex's words and how he treated me and ended our relationship dictate and define my narrative. And I was like, I am so sick of this. Like, I can't do it. Sometimes it's so hard to conceptualize that exact moment. Like, what was it within us that made us be like, we need to keep
Like,
going, we need to move
it's not
forward.
working anymore. We gotta keep going.
And so I wanted to go back to you studying psychology right now in college and all the techniques that you bring up on your social media.
I think it's important to explain the why. Like, why am I doing all
Yes,
of this?
definitely.
During my freshman year of college, one day I was just like chilling, just randomly, like just chilling. And then I started to feel short of breath. I started to
Okay.
shake. I started to slur my words, and everything started to get blurry. I'm like, what is happening to me? I thought I was dying. I thought it was a stroke or
Yeah, no,
something.
that's scary.
So I called 911 because well, my mom was there with me. If I called 911, I'm like, I
Okay.
don't know what's going on. So then they came and he took my blood pressure, whatever, and he's like, Allison, nothing is wrong with you physically. I am very convinced, I'm not a doctor, but I'm convinced that this is anxiety. I'm like,
Okay.
he's like, you just experienced a panic attack. And I'm like, so that night I sat on the edge of my bed and I'm like, I thought I was dying. These were manifesting physiological symptoms that are very closely related to some chronic illness. And I'm like, I thought I was like dying. I thought something's wrong with my heart. And
Mhm.
I survived that. And I said, okay, I have a lot of emotional baggage and it probably caused my first panic attack ever.
Mhm.
I was still, coming out of it anxious and everything, but I had some gratitude. And I'm like, I survived this. I want to help people. I want, like, I'm actually taking this mental health stuff seriously. So that's what really got me so focused on this. And now I make my common anxiety symptoms videos to
Mhm.
show how close they are related. I share with my followers and my people some techniques. And one of them is like they all don't I make so many videos about it and they don't get sick of me making it. I'm so glad about the butterfly hug.
Oh, I love
And
the butterfly hug. I just used that actually the other day, by the way. I forgot to text you. Yeah,
oh,
I was experiencing like overwhelming anxiety. And I was like, wait, Allison told me about the butterfly hug. I need to do it. So I did it and it helped me so much.
I'm so glad to hear it help. And I'm acting like it's not mine. Like I've just learned this along the way, like, and I've just carried it with me.
Mhm.
But yeah, so like for anyone watching, if you're interested, if you're like in a panic attack or something, or even just feeling anxiety, and it's even for stress. If you're just there like overwhelmed with stress, to help calm you down and regulate your nervous system, you interlock your thumbs like this, and you just put your hands slightly above your chest and do light flutters, and you can pair it with like a breathing technique if you want, or just focus on your breath, and you're just, in a matter of time, you're more calmed.
Another thing I wanted to bring up, how have you seen the conversations around mental health evolve within your community?
Going back to having an audience
Mhm.
and portraying some sort of image,
Mhm.
really, people are looking for someone that is vulnerable. I noticed my spike when I was starting to be more vulnerable. And then
Mhm.
the conversation about mental health just started inclining. And I
Okay.
noticed other people were starting to feel more comfortable with being themselves. And that just even motivated me even more. And I just think it's very important to be vulnerable and to be open and say how you're feeling, especially if you are a role model to other people.
Mhm.
It will teach them that it's okay. So then they start, and then I get DMs and I get emails and all this stuff of people saying like, "Thank you for being yourself. Like, thank you for showing that like I'm not alone." And they start opening up, and I'm just like, I take that as like I value that so much.
My friends had mentioned that the other day. For me personally, with that vulnerability and being just authentic to who I am, they can see the switch in content personally. When I first started social media to talk about Dare to be Iconic and bring that message out there, I was trying to do what I saw was going pop. I was trying to do
So,
what
can
everyone
relate
else
so
was
hard.
doing,
So
you
hard.
know?
Yeah.
Like I was like, "Oh, this is what hits, like this is what I need to post." And I wasn't being fully authentic to me. So I think in the beginning of 2024 is where really when I said, screw this. Like I'm just
No
gonna
more.
yeah, I'm just gonna do what I want to see, like what I want to talk about and how I want to talk about it. Like I want it to literally be like I'm talking to one of my girlfriends. And that's when I saw the shift in conversation for me on my two main platforms, like Instagram and LinkedIn, is when people really gravitated towards it because I wasn't being anyone else. I was embracing who I was. Have you
Exactly.
seen
I
that
can
with the
relate
shift
so
too?
much to that. And actually, starting August 2022, that's when I started taking my content creation seriously, and I was like still new, and there was a specific individual that I actually like. I I I just thought like that was the way to success. That was so if you look at my older videos, I
Okay.
was a completely different version of myself. I was posting what I wanted to post, but like my attitude and my behaviors, the way I took up space on the camera was just so much related to theirs. And I just felt like if I followed their way
Mm,
to the
yeah.
to influencing others, then it will work for me. But no, we're individuals and we all
Yeah.
have our different journey. Like then I started to feel like a robot because then I had like no free will and I was just like
Mhm.
letting um
Yeah, like,
their
just
strategies
inspire you.
inform
Yeah.
inform my videos. So that's evolving as well. Like I've evolved from that person all the way to being more authentic and being more of myself and knowing who that person is.
I think it's really crazy. Sometimes you wanna fit into the mold and do what everyone else is doing because we see, like, instant gratification, instant success. Is that
Mhm.
something you struggle with as well? I for sure, like, have. Like, I know when a video wouldn't perform well and I put, like, my heart and soul into it, I would get so down on myself. And now I've kind of gotten to the place where I can have that emotional separation of being like, the video is the product. It's not a reflection of me and who I am. Do you also see that with the comparison that's going on of other influencers who maybe just started and they're like going to all these cool big events? Do you feel that as well? Does that impact your mental health? Because I know it's impacted mine.
I still compare myself on daily to a lot
Mhm.
of um, people that are doing what I want to do.
Yeah.
And to see that some people have started the game so early and they are succeeding, it kind of like takes a hit to my self-esteem a little bit. But I'm also so happy because I see that if someone else can do it, anyone else can do it. And
Yeah.
like we're more connected than separate. And I just think it's really cool that we all have the opportunity to have a platform and like connect. And I just try to be optimistic about it for sure. I just try to remind myself, yeah, like I'm here to enjoy what I'm doing and not really compare and like take it hard.
So, for the radiant icons who are listening to this right now, what is one piece of advice you would give them?
It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to
Oh,
talk to somebody. So many people are here to help you, and so many people are, having similar experiences as you. And you can look at that as a bad thing, like, oh, everybody else, or a good thing to know that everybody has their, unique stories, but also you're not alone at the same time simultaneously. So nothing wrong with asking for help wherever you are in your journey. Amanda and I are both here. Like, we love you and thank you for watching.
thank you so much, Allison, for this conversation. We needed to spill the tea about everything, and we definitely did. So, thank you so much. And I am so glad that I sent you that DM on Instagram because I am so proud of you and seeing your journey. And I'm so
Oh,
happy that we've been able to evolve and embrace who we are together. So, I'm just really thankful. So, thank you so
I'm so
much.
glad. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh
Look
my God,
at
of
you
course.
from a box from many years ago to this. Like, you're just growing, and I'm like, yeah, it's great, and I love seeing your journey as well. So
Thank you.
I'm so
And
glad we're able to grow together.
yes, oh, we're evolving together,
Yes,
period.
iconically evolving.
And that is our tea time sesh for today, Radiant Icons. Thank you so much, Allison, for spilling all the tea with us here at Dare to Be Iconic. If you liked today's episode, Radiant Icons, I dare you to subscribe, leave us a review, and follow me on social media. All my socials are linked in the show notes below, and connect with Allison. You can find her information linked below as well, so we can have a beautiful, evolving, iconic community. All right, Radiant Icons. Remember, dare to be iconic. And I will see you guys next week. Bye.